to steer straight into the sunlight.
You want to sit up now? Allie, where are you going to sit?
I'm gonna sit right next to you, but I gotta make sure it's actually recording audio.
Oh, yeah.
Say something.
Something.
Yay. Cool. I did it.
Where's the bed? You're going to edit this, right?
Oh yeah,
It's going out wrong.
Yeah, I'm gonna edit it. All right, because we also have all the car noise, but and we're at an
Well,
angle.
that's a nice one.
So, Maker Faire Mare Island.
2023.
Yeah, 2023. I guess highlights that stood out for you guys. I know we've talked about these quite a bit because
I know. It's just I see flashes of different images in my head and the kids and the families and the activities there, and I was just amazed they made it down to our coal shed.
Yeah,
Well, they had
Karen.
to, if they had to use the toilets, they had to come past us.
Oh, okay. Well, then I guess it was
And
a good
food.
spot.
And food and the stage. And,
Anyway, but
Yeah, we're down there by the powered bicycle.
Yeah.
That was cool.
I was really impressed that when we first showed up, we're right across from drone racing, which just makes me go, oh boy, we're gonna get swamped. We're gonna get swamped out. Nobody's gonna want to actually come over and like hang out with us. But that wasn't the case. we stayed busy the whole time. The whole time.
And
All 6 days. 2 weekends, 6 days.
you know, and it was great because the kids had come from learning how to solder and all the robots, and then they come to make a kite
Yeah.
and use an analog machine.
Yeah.
The die cutter.
The roller die cutter was the start of the whole process. I mean, that's what got them hooked into coming in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they had been pre-cut and just sitting there, I don't think they would have enjoyed it as much. But getting to crank the handle, getting to watch it become
Yeah.
from a flat sheet of paper turn into a three-dimensional object.
And then color it.
And color it.
Then color.
Yeah.
But the adults were as amazed as the children when the plain sheet of paper turned into the kite, to the cut.
Yeah.
And it transformed on this line. It went in solid and it came out cut.
And how many people, I mean, we went through a handful of different ways of like describing what's happening because they couldn't understand. And we said, well, like, it's an upside down cookie cutter. We're just mashing the dough into the cookie cutter. And they're like, oh, okay. And then, but where's the blade? And it's like, well,
It's there
That's
in
the
that
cookie
foamy
cut,
stuff.
right?
like, it's right there.
I guess we need to go,
There.
on the foam.
Yeah.
Blade.
But it was good that we had the die with the tails.
Yes.
Because we only had the foam bits in where we wanted to push out the
The
Tyvek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And otherwise they could put their hand on it and feel it and see what we were talking about.
Right.
Yep.
And there was.
But yeah, I think working with getting some posters
yeah.
or fabric ones that we
Yeah.
can roll up and light framing.
Say what we're doing.
Right. And there at the die cutter.
And what Tyvek is and
Yes.
stuff like that.
And what?
Yeah.
But everybody got the concept of the kite poo.
Yeah.
But I
they
liked-
love the kite food box.
Yeah.
I like your way of proving that Tyvek was not affected by water.
Oh,
When you ran off, what was it you did?
yeah. So the last day when it was raining, and I overheard a woman talking to her son, and she's like, "Well, we're gonna have to put it away, because it's raining and it'll get wet." I was like, "Oh yeah, no, they'll be fine." She looks at me. I'm like, "No, they're waterproof." And she just kind of like stares at me like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah, hold on." And I just grabbed one of our makeups that we had, and I just ran out in the rain and just like dunked it in a puddle and swished it around and pulled it out. I'm like, "See?" And she just looks at me, and the son comes running over and is like now fishing with the kite. And I was like, "Well, I didn't say your kid was waterproof. I just said the kite was."
Kite was.
It's like,
Well, and
that's
then-
one way to use it, I guess.
And with the Tyvek, you have to use the alcohol-ing
the
markers.
Sharpies, yeah.
The Sharpies. And then once they're dry, they don't smudge. What are you laughing
Oh, I'm reminded of two. The kid who is not allowed to have Sharpies at home.
at? Oh yes, the little girl.
And
oh my
then
gosh.
and then the one who had pink face paint that had started flaking off and was using a pink marker. And like every time I turn around, just out of the corner of my eye, I'm always watching to see if kids are like scribbling on their face, right?
Sure.
Because parents are going to be like, ah!
Yeah, it comes off.
I know, but I was like, oh crap! And every time I'd look over, the kid's like this, and the whole face is pink, and I'm like,
No.
oh crap, it's paint. Okay. Like, that one caught me like 3 times while I worked.
No, and then the parents that would sit there and their child would be working a half an hour, 45 minutes, coloring.
Yeah, because the one mom, it was last Saturday, the first weekend, and she sat down. She says, "This will be an hour,"
Yep.
and
It was.
and we chatted, and she sat there and chatted, and then all of a sudden her daughter says, came over and she looked at her watch, and it was a half hour, and she goes. It was kind of like, oh my,
Yeah.
how'd that happen?
Yeah, and the coloring part of it was all freeform for the children. We didn't really have any suggestions, although one that you decorated, I saw a lot of kids picking up. But I think they were mainly getting the concept of the blank space inside the curve.
Yeah.
But I did see a couple of kids do little circles and whatever. They
Cool.
needed that inspiration.
Yeah.
In the past, we've brought shapes and things for kids to work off of, and there's something to be said about that. And
I feel like rainbows was a consistent theme.
it was
On
and then,
just about everything.
and
was
then if
rainbows.
they didn't get which was the top and bottom, then it was just a colorful smiley face.
Yes. Yeah.
But
Saved
I
a few
still
disasters
think
with
about
that one.
The little girl that, I don't know, 4 or 5, that she,
Oh, yeah.
the little image that was no more than, half inch or so in the tail in the corner, because she knew that she could see that, and drew it there, and then started on the other side, and her dad is watching.
Well, he's
And-
there.
Yeah.
and she picks up the marker, and before she started, she looks over and she looks down and she makes a mark, and it was just these simple little shapes, and there was only about maybe 4 or 5 little lines, curves, but every time she'd start, she'd stop and look over, and she was drawing it in mirror image.
Yep.
And I said to her dad, I said, "You catching this?" And he goes, "What?" And I said, "She's drawing in a mirror image."
Yeah.
He says, "Oh, I should be paying attention to this." And I said, "Indeed."
Please
Yeah.
Please do.
Yeah.
I said, that's pretty advanced.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing that got me was the parents that would help the child by drawing. But I think they just wanted to draw and want to use the kid as an excuse to do
Oh yeah.
it.
So we just give them a kite.
Yeah, it's like, no, you go color on
There
your
you go.
own kite.
Yeah.
And
I know. I tell them that.
So many
it's like,
parents were afraid, or adults coming by, they were too sheepish. I was like, oh hell no, here you
get
go.
in here. You're part of it.
Just go find a spot.
well, and like one of the last ones yesterday, the mother and daughter, and the daughter, and I think her little brother made one too, and but the girl, she was probably, I don't know, maybe 12 at the moment, around
Okay.
12. It's just starting from teenage angst, right? And embarrassment and what. And her mom says, "Oh yeah, I'll do it." And I said, "You want to do it?" And she goes, "No." And I said, "Oh, come on."
You know
And
you
finally,
want to.
okay. And then at the end, I said, "So, did you have fun?" She goes, "Yeah, this is really fun." It's like, told you so.
I think the important thing that we do, one of the really things to keep in mind is that we give permission.
Yes.
We give permission to come in, to be creative, to share their stories.
Not that people are asking for
No,
permission from us. But
they're
we-
not. But some of them need that little encouragement.
Yeah. We're opening the space. To give
Yeah.
them permission.
And I think that, you see the ones go by and they're curious and they look, but they make up their minds what it is. And then you see the ones that go by that kind of recognize what we're doing, maybe want to come in, but they don't want to be silly being in a kid's thing.
Well, yeah, in like the last weekend, the one lady towards the end of the day, you know, I said, yeah. I said, here, come on, release your inner 7-year-old.
Yeah.
And she was, you know, in her
70-something?
late 70s.
Yeah.
And she says, my 7-year-old is real close to the surface. And I said, well, then you'll do just great.
You're gonna have fun.
Have fun.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I'd say that to other people, you know, and the guy would go, yeah, you know. And I said, oh, quit being the curmudgeon-y old Bob, you know. And he looks at me, he says, well, my name's Dave. And I said, okay, curmudgeon-y old Dave, you know. And his wife just cracking up. And then I tell him the story about the workshop that we did with the independent living center that people came down from Spokane, and there was like 40 people on the bus. And the main the way that the permission that they were given to come down is that they couldn't have a walker. They could have a cane. I think they could have a walker, but no wheelchairs. And,
Okay.
you know, and
didn't they warn us about 2 people, Bob and the blind guy?
Bob and the fellow that was blind.
So we split them.
Yeah, and
I got one, he got the other.
yeah. So
Tag team.
curmudgeon-y old Bob, you know, I don't know, build a kite.
Oh, fun.
And then there was the blind fellow that he still had a little peripheral vision, you know, and I just asked him if he was a professional artist. And I said, so can you still see the images? And he goes, yes. And I said, do you think you can make it from your brain back to your hand? And he says, I can try. And
Good.
he did, and he had this perspective of a roadster, a hot rod.
Oh, nice.
And his caregiver helped him, and they were just like blown away because he's been, you know, in this depressive state, you know.
Understandably.
And now it's like, wow.
You can still do it.
Yeah. But
Yep.
then Bob, you know.
Well, he started to draw on his kite, but then he messed up, and it was like, okay, and then he just kept working through it.
Good.
Okay, and then it came time to go.
Time to go, and we were at the outlet mall in Lincoln City, and there's this little grassy area that they parked the bus by, and people are out there flying their kite, and then all of a sudden they've got to make lunch, and they had another thing that they were going to be doing, and they're going, Bob, get on the bus. Bob, and he's out there flying his kite. He's the last
like,
one on the bus.
And the other thing that happened with that group, and I know we got a little off track, but I happen to have had 3 kite pins in my pocket. And I said, is there anyone here that has never flown a kite? And 3 hands went up.
Oh, perfect.
And I said, well, after today, you can never say that.
Yeah, now here's your pin.
Here's your pin now. We're going to make your kite and you get to fly it before you get on it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And here's a remembrance for you.
That's awesome.
Okay, but back to
All
our
right,
event.
so I guess memorable moments. I know 3 that stand out, and we can all share the story. Is the blind kid, the deaf kid, and the language barriers. Those 3 really stand out for me. Do you guys have any? And we'll hit all of them.
and the
the
fourth
different
one.
languages.
Well-
Fortunately for me, is that I knew what kite was in every one
Yeah.
of the languages.
So you just
know?
did a
yeah.
Rolodex through them.
Right,
and-
yeah. So I had the Japanese for taco, and then I said, you know, and I'm taco kichi, and they laugh, laugh, you know.
And kichi means?
Kichi means
Crazy.
crazy, but
Yeah.
enthusiastic crazy, not batshit crazy,
Not-
crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, right. So you know, and then we had the Russians
Yep.
and the Ukraine
Yep.
family.
Indian,
And
Indonesian.
Indian. Now India, I don't recall
Patang.
Patang. Okay, so that one I didn't have, but Germans, we had Germans, and then I would tell the people, you know, what kite was in different languages, you know, and then I had the woman from she's from the Bay Area, but was originally from Mexico City. And I'd say, so, you know, and she was just calling it kite. And I said, so it's papalotes. And she goes, see? And I said, yeah. And I said, but then you just go south of Mexico into Central America, you know, and you're clementas. And,
Oh boy.
and so,
We've got a lot of these little
go by,
Oh my goodness.
go cars.
GPS motorcycles.
How come they weren't at Maker Faire?
We're just gonna
Oh,
hold for a second.
Oh, loud.
Yeah.
But
All right,
But
so
it's-
there you go.
yeah, but it's funny that some people, especially from Mexico, don't know that like in Spain or Central America or
It's
South
a
America,
slightly
it's
different.
different, you know. And so yeah, you can kind of educate people on kites that way, or
Yeah,
But we need to add number 4
Oh,
to our list.
okay.
The one who came back to build a kite for her sister.
well, that's
But the
language.
sister came back to build her own kite.
Oh, that's a different one then, because I was going to say the language
So-
barrier one of.
and they were barriers, but they were, yeah.
Right. This young boy, probably 7 or 8, maybe. I mean, he's tiny, and he comes up, and he's very enthusiastic to build. He speaks English, but he does have an accent. Mom has a very, very strong accent. I can't quite place, but it almost sounds like Turkish or in that realm. And he is just very eager. He builds his kite. He's very attentive. He does it. And like an hour later, he comes back and he's got this little girl in tow. And he walks right up to me and he says, "Can she build a kite, but she doesn't speak English?" And I was like, "Sure, like, you remember how to build?" And he's like, "Yep." And I'm like, "Okay, you're gonna translate for me." And I got down to his height, and you know, we're going through the die cutter. We had her doing the thing, and I keep telling him, I'm like, "Okay, what do you need to tell her?" And he just like hopped right in there, and he's even making all the hand gestures on the kite of like, "Yes, you're gonna color here," and then he makes sure that she grabs the kite, and he just grabs her and takes her over to a table and like plops her down, and Mom is just beaming. And I was like, yeah, it's
Proud moment.
it was so easy. You didn't have to speak the same language to make all of that work.
Yeah, and I, when I was there, you know, at the start with the die cutter, you know, and I would explain, you know, the surfaces and folding it over, and you know, I would gesture with my full hand, not point, you know, and I picked that up from Rhonda from years ago when you were at Disney World, and
People
you know,
would ask,
and
"Where's the restrooms?" You
point with your hand,
Yes,
you know, and you learn
because
that.
pointing with certain fingers is
in different countries. Can
Yeah,
be-
it can be
is
different.
offensive.
Yeah, you know, and then you know, you kind of gesture the direction, and so there were a number of you know, Asians and Koreans and Chinese and Japanese, and they spoke English, but you know, you're giving them some information that, you know,
Using technical terms. Yeah.
and I try not to do that, but sometimes you have to. But then it was just, you know, demonstrating pulling the parts off of the tail, and then showing, you know, what the end result is, you know, and how to bring it through. And only every once in a while you'd see a kid trying to put the
Fold
T
it,
through,
yeah.
you know, and stuff. And it's like, yes, that will work, but it's
show you this.
let me show you this.
Yeah.
And then okay, you know, and pull it and stop. But God, couldn't tell you how many adults or especially teachers, you know, were like the clips and no tape, no staples, and you know, and and it pulls and it stops, and it's like, yeah.
We've tried to build a lot of foolproof, you know, making it more successful.
Yeah, very much successful.
Eliminate
Yeah, easy.
and even if they fold it too much, you just rub it, or like you do, you go.
Yeah,
Well,
flap it
and-
like a butterfly.
Yeah, and that's the great thing about Tyvek, you know, with
It's
papers
resilient.
is done.
Yep.
And but yeah, I mean, you know, in the Japanese that I worked with, I said, so you have a term in Japanese of how we've created this to keep it simple, and I said, you know, and it's pokeyoki. And they go, yes. It's kind of like, where'd you get that one from?
We love that one.
We pick things up.
I know, Rhonda, you specifically also worked with the blind kid. So at first, I was at the die cutter, and he came up with a cane, very, very much blind and needing to touch things. And so I made sure to get down low so my voice wasn't projecting over the top of him, so I'm projecting right at him. Good God, I think I did so many squats this weekend, these weekends. You know, trying to be the height of a 6-year-old.
Get
right?
down at their level.
Yeah. But so I asked him if I could hold his hand and direct him. And he said yes, and and I had him touch the die cutter and touch and then grab the roller and all of that. And then I remember handing the materials over to you. It's okay.
I thought it was pointing the other way.
It's okay.
It's okay.
I remember handing the materials over, or handing him and the materials over to you right when he was drawing. And he was able to feel where the edge of the paper was and where the markers were going, and he could even feel where the marker had laid down, right? The difference in the touch before the alcohol completely dried up. And then I know you helped him build it.
Well, and when you handed him over, I've never really dealt with a blind person before, and I try to be real sensitive to how to make it so that they are comfortable, that they don't feel like they're being talked down to.
Yep, just normalize it.
And I just took like this half a breath, and then it was like, okay, we're off and running.
Yeah.
And again, feel the surface, feel the difference. Here's where the holes are. He had all that, and it was just I'd ask him questions, and he would answer, and it was just a really wonderful experience for me. And hopefully, I know he got a lot out of it too.
I think, and then working with people with disabilities or other challenges or languages or whatever, I don't know whether it's because we've done this so much, that it's just common.
It's part of our nature.
Part of our nature.
Just, yeah.
And people pick up on that, I think,
Absolutely.
Right away. That
We're welcoming.
Yeah, so there's, I really appreciate, and it's one of the reasons I really love working with you guys, is that when we go to things like this, or when we're dealing with these groups, we just naturally are checking all judgments and preconceived notions at the door. They come up every now and then where you're like, okay, blind kid, how am I going to make this happen? Okay, here we go, right? And it's more just I just need to adjust slightly. It's not a question of whether or not they should. It's just okay,
yeah.
How can I make the consent work in this space? Because their physical consent is going to be a little bit different than.
Well, and the other thing that between the three of us, you've worked with kids, like in India and in New York City. So you got, right, and we've worked with little guys, and then we worked with adults.
Curmudgeon-y Bob.
And then we and then it's then it peaks, and then you're going down and you're working with the kids again.
Yep.
The older kids.
Yeah.
And so it's just experiences, but we just have applied it.
Well, and then one of the other things that is kind of a challenge for me is you're working one-on-one with a child, and then the grandpa or the parent wants to reach in
and do it.
I did
Don't play in my sandbox.
Stay out of my
It's
sandbox.
like, here,
I said
go
that
make
to
your
him.
own.
Rhonda snarking back at the parents like, go away.
Go away, don't touch. We got this, and we had a tool, the end of one of our wands to use as a pusher. And everybody wants to stand there and hold it up here and fold it and try to put the clip through it. And it's like, no, trust me, I'm going to show you another way.
Right.
And then
down here.
I have the child hold the end of the wand because it's hollow inside, and we use that to push the tie back over the post of our clips. And then we do it again and do it again, and by the second, third one, they've got it.
Yeah, they figured it out.
Sometimes it's not as easy.
You gotta wiggle.
You gotta wiggle.
Yeah.
And when I said, you did good. Now it's gonna be the hard one. It's snapping that clip, and I say, my thumb is too sore to do it. So we might have to
we
ask.
build a machine.
We might have to ask mom or whoever's with you, but we're gonna give it a try first.
Yeah.
And so I get them and I show them where to push at, and I'll put my nail on it and just kind of
Hold
keep it in place.
Yeah.
And sometimes they will get it right away, and I said, and then they have this look on their hand, or on their face, like, does that kind of hurt? But they don't want to say anything.
Like, I did it.
And I said, boy, that was hard, wasn't it? You did a good job.
Yeah.
And you did it all on your own. And I said, yeah, that's why my thumb is sore.
Yeah. I did get a few comments from adults at a handful of points where they commented that we made the kids do the work. We weren't taking the work from them. a hippie tour bus just went by. We're definitely in California. It's like
Sorry.
a decked
Here we are,
out
San Francisco.
Volkswagen.
There's the bridge. Look at
Yeah,
it.
the bridge is coming. Well, the bottom of the bridge is coming out. But yeah, so
we encourage the child hands-on.
and let them struggle. Let them work through it, and don't just instantly jump in and make it happen and fix it for them. They had to make it happen themselves.
Well, and then the other thing is that, we explain the surfaces because we're taking the two-dimensional piece of paper and
making
shaping
it
it
3D.
into 3D.
Yep.
And that the top becomes the bottom. And showing them, that you color this bit and you're going to see this. And then they color the top and, and then you go, okay, would you like to fold this way? And then everything hides.
Yeah.
And they go, you can see their eyes. And then you fold it the other direction and all the artwork's at the top, but then it comes down and it's
It curves
part of
around.
it.
Yeah.
And they go,
That way.
That one.
But that
I
way.
like giving them choices.
Yes.
And then I do the same thing with the tail. If I only colored one side, I'll say, well, this will how to look when it's on this way, how to look when it's on this, how to look when it's on this way. And so which way do you like the best? Mm-hmm. Oh, I like that. I said, you made a good choice. That's
Yep,
what I was
that's-
thinking.
that's the way
but
we're
I didn't
gonna go
want to
with.
tell you.
Right,
I wanted
right.
you to figure it out. And they look at you like, you're letting me figure it out on my own. You're not just...
Yeah, you're not telling me how it has to be done.
So,
I do also want to recognize, I know we had this conversation last night, and I think it was really, really important, was first off, we were talking about, how we're going to do Maker Faire in the future, how we're going to maybe make this a little bit more comprehensive and bring other people in. And we all somewhat agreed in different veins of no chairs. The people running it shouldn't be sitting down, or if they're sitting down for some reason,
just to take a break.
well, they can't have a table between them
Right.
and the action. So Rhonda was doing that a lot of, you were sitting down, but it's so that the kid is right here. And I know you said on more than one occasion, because it was so freaking loud where we worked. But when you had that kid, all of a sudden you guys
we had the cone of silence.
Yeah, you had this cone of silence.
It was-
here's Rhonda and the kid, and just right here, it was magic happening right here.
And I'd
it
look
was-
up
it
and
was
it'd be
beautiful.
and it's nope, you're mine.
Yeah.
And I get them there.
And I did that towards the end because I was just...
Oh, we were dead.
And, and then bring the little kid over and you sit down and they're there and the table's here and you work. And yeah, it's great.
And then when we would take pictures, asking permission
Yes.
of the child.
Well,
talk
two
about
things. Yeah. So it's one, asking permission from the parents, right? Can we? But the big thing was asking consent of all the vehicles. Is asking consent of the child. Can we take a photo of your kite? We want them to actively be engaged in understanding consent. That's something that's very important
And then
to
we
me.
were very, very explicit about getting permission from the parent
Yes.
to take a picture of their face.
Yeah, and make sure that the parent approves of it and also the kid approves of it. 'Cause
Right.
that is a big thing for me, just on the social media side. This next generation, they're going to inherit a social media presence that they did not have any choice in.
Right.
And so it's we really need to be asking consent of children if they want to partake.
The other thing I would do is I would maybe get a little bit of the face, but not enough
or their
to-
clothing.
Or their
If they did stuff that
clothing.
matched
Oh my
their
gosh.
clothing.
Well,
the
that's why
kids-
I
But
do
let me
overhead.
finish. But then I would, after I took the picture, I would turn it around and show Mom, this is what I took. And
Yeah.
I'd thumb through it. I said, I just want you to know that we're on the up and up.
Yeah.
And they were like, thank you.
Well,
I said,
like
we
you-
care about these
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah, you took a picture of the girl with the net, the rainbow skirt.
Oh, yeah, that
right?
was her. Yeah, yeah,
and,
yeah.
And,
And
and,
a
the flowers.
flower in her
You
hair.
know, all these flowers. Well, that was last weekend, I think. And
Yeah.
and then I took pictures
From overhead.
overhead of her coloring, and then with the flower.
Oh, it was so cool.
Right. And so now we've got those pictures from.
Well, and
different
I
angles.
talked to one mom and commented about that, and she goes, that's what she wanted to wear. And I said, well, I figured that. I said, I've got a niece like that, my little sweetie.
I'm
And-
jealous of what some of her. I'm like, I need
Well,
that
you
in
did
adult
shoes.
size, right?
Right.
Like, jackets with wings built
that was
in.
so cool.
Like,
Yeah.
I want this. Why is this not adult sized?
Because we have to make it. We're makers.
Fine.
We're makers.
All right.
But I was just really proud of us that of what we did, and that we were one of the only. I mean, there were other make and takes, but
we
there
were-
weren't enough,
No.
and they knew that.
Yeah.
So
And it's over on your side right now.
yes.
What's the really important thing that we got at the very, very end?
Oh, what? I had a rock in my
it's on your right
What
side.
are we looking for? Oh, this thing.
Yeah.
The one that I don't have?
Hey, our whole team
Put
won
it up here.
Our whole team won this.
Give that to Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll hold it right in the middle because we posted the photos of it on Instagram and Facebook. We won the Editor's Choice Award from the Bay Area Make Magazine.
Make Magazine,
Yeah,
Editor's
yeah.
Choice.
So
And
they,
how many times have you come to these?
So between mini Maker Fairs and the world ones, the big ones, the New York and the San Francisco, about 16.
So did the 2 weekends that we came this time to count as 2 or 1?
No, this counts as one. This is the first time it's 2 weekends, but it counts
I
as
know.
one.
Okay. So that makes us for 4.
4, yeah. 2
Yeah.
Bay Area and 2
2
Portland.
Portlands.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, no, I for those that
Hi.
don't know,
Where's the
To
5th?
Portland, the Bay, and then this counted as one.
yeah,
Yes,
this counts
that's
as
what I
one.
said.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
not the way I count.
I know.
but
But
no,
all the credit we could get.
the editor's choice. I mean, it's given by essentially the editor of the magazine, who we had a very, very great conversation with, and we're gonna
Well, I've been working them all week.
we're gonna be doing some work with him a little bit later.
No, nice fellow.
Yeah,
And his son.
yeah. He brought all of his kids over, and they built kites, and they had a lot of
Oh,
fun.
I only saw his,
Yeah.
met his son yesterday.
But yeah, no, so they go around and they're specific, it's a little bit, their opinion and all this, but the idea is that they are picking the people that they think are like fully embodying the Maker Faire. And it's usually also the people that are super engaged and that have a lot of attendees are either giving feedback about that they really love that, or they're seeing a lot of the objects being, they're just seeing a lot of engagement from the attendees in the booth. So that is a direct representation of what we do.
Yeah, because you walk around and there's booths where people are just sitting there and waiting for somebody to come up and engage.
Sitting
It's
behind
like,
the table.
No.
Don't sit behind the table.
Yeah, more than once. You look like you want to make a kite. Oh, I don't know. Well, you get to cut it out yourself. Oh, see our machine right here? You get to power and then.
Oh, I tricked
okay.
so many people because they're like, oh, I don't know, but they're staring at the die cutter. I was like, well, I got to cut out some extra skins. You want to help me? And so I
Oh, that's
set
a
one
good
up, and they're
one.
like, oh,
Okay.
yeah. And I'm like, well, cool. Now you cut that out. You want to color it?
There you go.
And they're like, okay.
Don't let anybody know we have that. We're going to do that.
Yeah. We have our ways.
Yeah, we have our ways. But we got a whole bunch of ideas for the next time.
And I think the other fun thing was being around really fun other exhibitors.
Yeah, when we
Yeah.
could get away from the booth, yeah. Like the first weekend, we had Make Do right next to us, which is just really cool cardboard people.
And we had
Not
another.
cardboard people, they have cardboard.
No, cardboard.
And we had a water.
Yeah.
A
water computer next to us on the other
Yes.
side.
And that was the first wave.
And then
But the dinghy derby.
duck dinghy.
Duck.
No, dinghy derby.
Dinghy
Dinghy
derby.
derby.
People-
It's
the
just they had that
teachers-
big duck out
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
That was fun.
And then even the drone people across from us, and just pretty much everybody we interacted with was just really great and a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We had a lot of great conversations, a lot of connections, and this
And we
is
never
gonna
left early.
oh my god, this is gonna take like months for us to completely.
Just. Okay, have I said that? Okay, check
Yeah.
that
But
one
we've
out.
committed ourselves to some stuff that's going to
Yeah,
keep us keep
we've got some big things in
that
the
stuff busy
pipeline now. That's
through
gonna,
the years. So.
But the idea is we all want to come back.
And they want us
And-
back.
Yeah.
Is this going out to the supporters?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Oh my God! Thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
To
So
all the patrons and the buy me a coffee.
yeah, the Buy Me a Coffee and the people that either went through Buy Me a Coffee or bought a T-shirt or bought a sticker
or the ones
or
that
donated directly.
or the ones that will be buying
This other
coasters
stuff.
and
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
and
Cool stuff.
keychains
Yeah.
that will be coming up.
Yeah, because we're gonna start fundraising for next year because next year we're actually going to expand quite a bit. We're gonna
Yes.
have.
We're talking about.
Yeah,
We're talking about it.
We're talking about
We'll
it.
put tidbits
some-
out there. We have
We'll put the
some
tidbits
ideas.
out there,
New
but the
elements
idea is
to the-
that
Yeah.
it's gonna have more people and more space.
Little
Because
performances.
there was one big kite flyer out there. I mean,
Yes.
it was, and nice. What was his
Oh,
name?
Dave
again?
Hogan.
Dave
Hogan.
Yep.
Who
I did. We didn't get a selfie with. I'm sorry,
I
Dave.
know, it was so funny because I'm going, God, Dave Hogan. And I messaged him and we chatted that he was going to be flying big kites, and then he comes up yesterday afternoon.
He's like, "Hi."
Hi. And
I
I go,
rode with you in a car for
yeah,
hours.
yeah, yeah. Remember we were in Lake Okoboji, and I'm going, oh my,
gosh.
God.
Anyway,
Yeah. So yeah, let's round it out, and hopefully it's still recording.
but the patrons.
I hope so, too.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and I guess we'll see everybody at
We'll
the
keep-
next Maker Faire.
Ciao.
Woo! We did it!